Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Today I want to talk about the great silver deception that happened at the beginning of February 2021. You probably still remember the story of Wall Street Bets, this Reddit forum. I recently also made a video about that. But today I want to give some comments about how the mainstream media tried then to use this momentum or to manipulate many people into thinking that these crazy Redditors who use this Robinhood app and who are shaking the financial markets are now all buying silver. So I think I mentioned in videos some time ago already the manipulative nature of this finance or economic journalism that you find online but also in many printed newspapers. But I think this time they definitely crossed a line, and I want to explain to you what I think is different now compared to these articles that they always write, and I want to comment on that. But before we start, I want to thank, as always, my supporters and my subscribers. If you like this material, like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to support my work, you can do so via PayPal, Patreon, or Subscribestar. The links are down in the descriptions below. So first of all, I want to describe how I see this finance or investment journalism from my perspective. First of all, I think that they're all somehow in bed with institutional investors or with, let's say, wealth management companies or companies that sell you insurances or mutual funds or these things. Basically, the financial industry with all their toxic products. And then that they're intrinsically, through no fault of their own actually, they're intrinsically too late to the party always. You will not get inside information from the New York Times, of course, because this is mainstream news, and when this news comes out, then the institutional investors and the insiders, they have already made their moves, and then the prices of something that goes up at the moment are already up there, and the opportunity has long gone. So if you read something about a hot stock or some movement or some trend in the markets, when you read that in the news, then the opportunity maybe was there 1 month or even half a year ago. And this is not their fault, of course, but at least they should phrase their articles then a little more honest and not talk about a hot tip for the next stock to buy, because that is, of course, all nonsense. And in the past, and most of them, they had plausible deniability always. They could always use that because they phrased their articles and their headlines like how you can still profit from this trend, or these 5 hydrogen stocks might still be undervalued. And these headlines or headlines like these, they already tell you that there is an ongoing trend and that the real party is probably already over, and you will not find a stock for $1 that will go up to $50 because everybody invests in hydrogen right now. I'm making an example here, but there have been numerous other examples in the past, like batteries or green energy or biotech or what have you. But these headlines, they imply already that the trend has been ongoing for a long time, and if you're lucky with a little bit of risk maybe involved, you can still find 1 or 2 or 3 stocks that are still worth investing in. But the writers of the article, they pretty much make it clear that most of the stocks already went up, and the potential of them to go much further up is now lower, of course. And that is honest, I think. That is for the most part okay. But when that truth is not clearly stated, I think most of these articles are just attempts at making people who don't know too much about the markets invest in these products or buy these stocks. And why are they doing that? Well, if you are talking about actively managed mutual funds, for example, then because these big companies who offer these products will take fees from these investors then. Of course, you have to open an account somewhere and and you will have to pay management fees for the people who manage these mutual funds or these other investment products. And if it is individual stocks, then I think it is actually more sinister than that. I think these articles where they give you a hot tip or a hot pick of what is the next cool stock to buy, that is because all the big investors, all the hedge funds, institutional investors, all the big investment banks and so on, they have invested in these positions already months or weeks ago. They have this already, and before they want to dump that and realize their gains, they want the normies to give them an extra 5%. Maybe they make sure that a positive article is written about a certain industry or a certain company, and then they wait for 1 week until the normies invest in that, and then they dump the stock. And that just means that in the casino that day trading is, the normies who were late to the party, they will lose because they just invested in something that was already up, and they made it go a little more up before the people who are hugely invested in that asset dump it. And then it will be lower in value, and all the normies paid amount X, and now they have just half of it left maybe. I don't know. But what happened with silver now? Let's get to the topic of silver. That was just generally what happens. That was just my general opinion of these financial journalists and these articles that are written about investment strategies and different investment products and what to buy at a certain time. But what happened with silver now in February? So I said in the beginning that this time they really crossed the line. They don't have plausible deniability anymore. But to be honest, there were some articles that were still using the question mark in their titles. They asked, for example, is silver the new Gamestop question mark, or are these Redditors now targeting also silver question mark? That is okay. I mean, it's a little bit phony maybe, but I do it too if I'm not really sure. So asking these questions, I think it's fair. But then there were articles that literally were publishing and spreading fake news about silver. I have to point out that there were articles also that were published already on the 3rd of February that said that silver is not the new GameStop. So there were also journalists who were reporting the truth. They were saying that yes, on this message board there were these posts who praised silver or said, hey, let's all go into silver. But they said clearly, which is what happened there on this message board, Wall Street Bets or something. They said that most of the people there rejected that, and they said, no, this is just a diversion. This is not what we want to do. We will not buy silver, get lost, right? But there were so many articles also who clearly spread this false story that these investors and these online groups are now targeting silver, which is definitely not true. And then, of course, a lot of older people, these boomers, these silver stackers, they were excited about it, of course, because if you're already sitting on a pile of silver and you hear that these online activists now want to get silver up to $1,000 per ounce or something as crazy as that, of course you will be enthusiastic about that, of course. So the question is now, of course, was that just done as a diversion, or maybe to lead some of those people astray and let them pull their money from the GameStop stock into some silver ETFs or what have you, so that the price of GameStop would go down again and these large hedge funds could actually clear their positions cheaper, who knows? Or was that really done because some other groups already invested in silver and they just wanted the price to go up for a little bit because they wanted to dump their silver? And what you saw in the silver price is that yes, for 1 day or something like that, it really did spike. But after that, it went already down again. So from 22 euros, it went up to 24, and then a short time later, it went down to 22. Or if you want to have it in dollars, then it went from 25 up to almost 30, and then within a day or something, down to 27 again. But it never went up to $50 or $1,000 per ounce, of course. So I really don't know if some people used this spike and timed it so well to dump their investment in silver and to get rid of their silver positions. I don't know that, but it could be, I don't know. What I just found really significant and worth mentioning is that the news really crossed the line here. The mainstream media, they literally spread fake information in order to manipulate investors here. Because if you're a journalist and you're reporting about what is going on a message board, the least thing you could do is to actually go on this message board and read through the posts for like 20 minutes. And then you would have seen that this is definitely not true, but they reported it and they printed it and they uploaded this material anyway. And as I said, I don't know if the outcome of that was more than a little bit of boomer euphoria. And I have to admit, the first time I read that, I also thought, silver, nice. Because, I made videos also about precious metals, for example, and I still think that precious metals are a good asset class as an insurance against inflation at least. And I also don't know if these stories are true. So many people say that the price of silver is manipulated, but I never really understood how it is manipulated and how it is done. I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying I really don't know. Some of the things that is always brought up is this gold-silver ratio, which is at the moment at a value of around 65 or something like that, which is historically speaking, it is a little higher than in former times, but it is not unheard of. I mean, in the early 90s, it was as much as 100, for example, and recently it was 100 again. And the higher the gold-silver ratio is, that means, of course, that the price of silver is much lower than the price of gold. And this is exactly what happened in March last year when the pandemic started. There you saw that silver was really dropping, and that would have been a great time to buy silver, for example, when you could get it for like 12, or the spot price at least was 12 euros per ounce. You didn't get physical silver for 12 euros per ounce, of course, but the gold-silver ratio spiked to almost 125, which means that silver was very cheap compared to gold at that time. And now it dropped down to between 60 and 70 once again. So I think that silver is still good to have, but it probably will not go up to astronomical levels very soon, and it is probably not worth gambling with it. That is just my take on the whole story. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. So long, Servus, Kameraden.